And like many times in our conversation while we're driving home, I'm like, I am saying things not because I completely agree with it, but it's what it's making me think about, just to be clear. But it is a lot, I think, to expect somebody to be all of the things, right? You can understand how that might feel like a lot.
Yeah. No, I can understand how it would be a lot. And at the same time...
Welcome back to In Residence. I'm Keith.
And I'm Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Keith.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm sick.
I noticed.
I always say that the curse of a vocalist is that it always hits my vocal cords.
Yeah.
So it is hanging on. I've had some laryngitis. I have been blaming all week a combination of a cold as well as cheering my heart out at the Packers-Chiefs game on Sunday night.
You went to another Packers game?
Sure did. Saw T Swift. Sort of. I saw her profile and her bun. So that's how I'm doing. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm still a little cruddy. I still have a little bit of a cough here and there, and I forget about it, and then all of a sudden it hits. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, still a little cruddy, but I'm better than you.
I know. I was talking today at work, and I go, I'm sounding a lot better, and they're like, this is better. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty rough the other day.
Certainly was.
Is anything else on your mind before we dive into something?
I don't think so. I think this week agreeing and determining what it was we were going to talk about and spend our time on has been a little more difficult because we haven't had as much time to chat and have informal conversations.
Yeah. And I feel like we've been busy and then looking for relaxation, and that doesn't always lend itself to having the freedom to simply listen to, like, say, a podcast or something that just gives me an idea. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I usually need to listen to something and then have some time to let it gestate in the back of my head. And maybe a day later or something, I find myself writing. I'm like, oh, where'd that come from? Oh, I was listening to this the other day. You know, if I sometimes try to take notes when I'm listening to stuff. If something catches my attention, I'm like, oh, that was a really poignant point that person made or something like that. But I haven't really been doing that this week.
Yeah.
It's just, we had a short week again.
We did. And I will say for me at work, this week at work has also been very full. I've been traveling a little bit for work. We've had some things occur that have been pretty heavy. It's been a really hard semester. And so I think some of the things that I'm typically excited to talk about or energized to talk about, I'm kind of tired. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so how do we re-energize or recalibrate? Like today, I kind of set aside today to be, I'm doing laundry today. It's not necessarily filling my cup. It actually felt like I was being lazy doing it. I felt like, oh, I should be doing some work. And then I heard myself say that and I was like, okay, or this is important work that needs to be done to keep us going, right?
Right.
And how about you lean into that and realize that maybe you're feeling like you should be doing something, because in between the loads and while I'm folding, I was watching a show just for fun, just to energize me, just to kind of lift my spirits. And it wasn't for anything except for I want to laugh or enjoy the story of what I'm watching.
Okay, what were you watching?
I was watching Shorzy again. It is so funny. It's crass and it's a vulgar, but it tickles my funny bone. And I feel like I'm probably drawn to a little bit because a lot of the humor is around hockey a little bit. And it's not even my experience playing hockey growing up, but enough where I'm like, oh, that's so funny. And part of me is like, I'm so glad I didn't keep playing hockey when I see how they're acting, because I know it's coming a lot from lived experiences from the writers and the creator.
Right.
So anyway, I spent some time today doing that and then listening to a few podcasts here and there off and on. But I guess what's coming up again is I was doing work, but I was also letting it be almost therapeutic a little bit. And I had trouble letting that happen.
Mm.
I'm bringing that up because I was hearing you like, I'm tired, I'm worn out.
Yeah.
And then what you did say right before is, yeah, we're having a little trouble. Like, well, what should we talk about? And it doesn't have to be, I think we get caught between talking about something that might feel like have a heft to it. And like, because we want to solve a problem, right? And we want to provide value. And then, like you said, it's like, I feel like I just need to talk about something that's going to like lighten me up or something light that lights me up.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So where are we going?
Well, I thought, so we spent the weekend in Green Bay again prior to the Packers game. And I don't sit still well. And I was still actually feeling decent. I would say I was feeling decent on Saturday, right? When we had a full day. Even Sunday, I was feeling okay.
Yeah, I think we thought like, oh, you got away with it.
Yeah. Oh, I was maybe bragging. That's probably why it came for me.
Wait, sorry, what?
No,
I talked over you. Re-say what you said because I was talking over you.
No, I said I felt like I had escaped it and I had gotten away without having to have the sickness that fell on the house.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't sit still well. And so I wanted to do some things.
Yeah.
And you and child one and child two were kind of like, can't we just sit in the house? And I'm like, come on.
I don't know if it was necessarily that. I mean, they're definitely like that. And I know I'm kind of like that.
Kind of?
No, I know. I think what it is your idea of stuff to do is sometimes we're a little skeptic of like, why would we want to do that? You know, I'm not trying to say no all the time. It's just, I'm not sure if that's like what I want to do. And
okay,
we're different, right? You like to move and I like to not be sedentary.
Conserve energy.
Conserve energy. You like to move and I like to chillax, let's say.
Fair enough.
But I do see, I'm trying to lean into doing some stuff so that the relaxation isn't simply perpetuating inaction. I was trying to lean into what you wanted to do.
Yeah. No, well, and so we had a little bit of I think you and I brought up several different things that we could do. So I went on the website, right? What to do in Green Bay this weekend.
The website? Or you searched that?
It was like the city or the chamber or somebody. Okay. Somebody had, or the tourism, I don't know. Yeah. But somebody had a list of things that were going on, kind of a calendar. And so I walked through a whole bunch of different ideas and we ended up deciding on two things.
We had ideas. Sorry, that's why I'm giggling. Like we had ideas. You were listing off things to do.
Yeah.
And we're just like kind of shrugging our shoulders like, oh. Like that's what you have to deal with, right? Like you're like,
yes.
You're like, is this mic on? Like I'm getting no response, people.
Yes.
And I'm just like, whatever. Like let's do something.
Well, and we had just been to Door County. Otherwise, I'd say, hey, let's go and like
that was
shop and go to like a little like.
That was the one thing where I said, I'm like, we just did that. I don't think either of those two want to sit in a car for a couple hour drive, up and back, to do something that they really don't want to do.
Which is understandable, right? What we ended up deciding upon and agreeing upon is that we are going to go to the holiday market. It was like a German style
winter market, right?
Winter market with, was it Krampus?
Krampus or Krampus or I don't know.
Krampus, I don't know.
It had somebody was dressed up in a wild outfit that looked like, from the back, it looked like somebody that was a trapper in the fur trade in the 1800s.
Yeah.
In the Fox River Valley.
Yeah.
In my head.
Yeah.
But then the face had like a really kind of wicked mask, like elongated features, and I think it had some horns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It did.
When it turned around, I was like, oh, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think child 2 said, oh my. So we decided to go to the holiday winter market and in the evening to go to one of those. I've never been to where they put all the different holiday lights up and they create like tunnels out of them and little light displays and, butterflies or icicles or whatever it is. So I've never been to one of those. And
Is that the gardens or
that was at the
something?
Botanical Gardens.
Okay.
Yep. And I thought, I'm like, oh, that would be really pretty to do. And so then we have one thing that's kind of in the late morning, early afternoon.
Yeah.
And one thing that's in the evening and spaced it out a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that worked out well.
Yeah.
Because we had time back at the house we were staying at to just, like, you puzzled, right? Didn't you start the puzzle?
I think I started
and
the puzzle.
we put some holiday movies on and
We
set it
did.
in the background, so I thought it was a good balance, by the way.
Yeah, I did too. And so we were talking about the different things that we did. And I realized that the things that we were doing really were around creative things. And since I've had a very heavy and busy, right? I think both of those things are true.
Tiring.
Tiring.
Yeah.
Work environment right now. I really was looking for some relief in exploring things that I enjoy. So I was looking for some relief in, can I engage in being creative? And not being creative necessarily, but creative adjacent. So at the winter market, what I really appreciated, I love going to holiday markets because I like to see everybody's craft. I like to see the mittens people have made, the ornaments people have crafted, the cupcakes that they baked and put together. I like to support local artists, the earrings that are out there,
Mm-hmm.
The carolers that were singing.
That was cool.
That was cool. And so I like the idea of being able to see what comes out of people's creativity and becomes something. So that's why I really like craft fairs, holiday markets, things like that, because I get to see people making a craft, right?
Yeah, it kind of fuels you, right? It kind of fills you up. It like invigorates you or rejuvenates that creativity in you, right?
And I also think too that the thing that I really love about creative work is that there's always a story behind why the person has become a crafter or a maker, or there's a story behind the thing that they are selling.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'll give you an example, which I know you hoped I was going to do. Right?
Yep.
Okay. One of the booths, I think is what we would call them. They were like these cute little houses, right? Or
Yeah.
shed spaces.
They were sponsored by different companies and built by whatever company. I noticed that. I definitely had a lens of, I was looking at it almost from like a future event planner, like would go and do like homework or something. I was just,
What?
yeah,
Really?
It was weird.
I'm like looking at you right now because that is not what I expected to
I noticed that each booth was sponsored. It had plaques on it from who was sponsoring this booth and built by this company. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Of course. Said company that builds these is going to provide these because it's marketing for them.
Right.
And so if I needed a shed in my backyard and I saw this here because my wife pulled me in to go to the market, right? Like, oh, that company, they build these. I need this for my lawnmower for the winter storage or something. Like, I was thinking those were like the things going through my head. Or, they had those propane heaters, outdoor heaters that you can go stand around like the pole. I go to the market and you're thinking of like, oh, these crafts. I was like, I wonder whose job it is to walk around and make sure these are working and refill them and that they're functioning. So that's where my head was at. Like,
Such an operation brain.
I don't know why though, because I am creative. It's just that's where my head was when we were there. For some reason,
Yeah.
I was looking at it from like an operations or something.
One of the booths that I went to, I was going to talk just a little bit about the story behind some of the things people create and sell. One of the booths had just a very eclectic combination of things. I was pulled in, there was a sweatshirt that had the state of Wisconsin silhouette on it that was made out of these really cute forest mushrooms on the fabric that made the state.
The pattern, right?
The pattern. I was like, oh, that is so cute. And so I went in and child one came with us. He picked out a sweatshirt. I picked out a sweatshirt. then I looked over to the left and I saw these really, really cute ornaments. They were little tiny acorns, a real acorn cap that then had like a little bit of, it must have been like where's the fluff you put in stuffed animals?
Oh, it's like poly something, isn't it?
Polyfiber fill, or
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like the fluffy stuff. But then it was a little bit of fabric made the actual bottom of the acorn. The bottom was like a little pincushion almost.
Oh,
And they were to size. They were about the size of an acorn, so they weren't super big, but they were super cute. I noticed that I could get garland that had acorn caps and then these really cute little pincushiony things that made the bottom part of the acorn. It was something unique that I hadn't seen before. And I flipped it over, and on the back it said, these acorns were collected through my various walks and hikes in southern Wisconsin. I hope you enjoy this garland as much as I enjoyed making it. Something like that. And I thought, I'm going to get this. It's not what I came here for. But like I said, it was unique, and it was made by somebody. Handmade, right? As I was checking out, the person said, oh, I'm so glad you're getting this. The individual who makes this, she goes on walks with her grandchildren and gathers the acorn caps, and her grandchildren sometimes go on walks without her and gather them because she's mostly homebound. And then she uses vintage fabrics to make the bottom part of the acorn. And so it really is a unique kind of mixed media thing. So I'm really excited to figure out where to put that. But there is so much behind the story and the craft and the idea beyond, I bought this at a Target and it's cute.
yeah. Well, like that story, what it makes me think is there's a purpose behind this, or somebody created a purpose to serve themselves better, to help them maybe move through something. And it's handmade, which you and I both appreciate. And like you said, I would rather support a small business or somebody local if I'm going to buy something like that. And you like to decorate and you like to make things festive. So yeah, lean into that, right?
Yeah, I do. So that was a fun little purchase, I thought. The other thing that I was excited that we bought was the cupcakes.
I didn't know if I was going to get one.
You did end up getting one?
I got the cheesecake one.
Ooh.
I think strawberry cheesecake or something, which cheesecake is like one of my favorite things ever.
Oh, yeah.
I always asked you to make me cheesecake on my birthday for a long time. And now I'm kind of like, probably don't need a whole shot. Because you would make the 4-inch tall
Food Network recipe.
Like emerald lagasse.
Fresh zested citrus.
Yeah. And it's
hot fudge with Oreos.
It's
like
so good.
Decorating.
But it's like so not something I need around for a week. You're like, it's your birthday week. And I'm like, oh no, like we grew up different. Like, I get like a birthday afternoon and you're like, it's a birthday week. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should try to lean into that. But yeah, the cupcakes were good.
They were really, really good. You're right. I wasn't quite sure if we were going to get any by the first evening.
The kids were going nuts.
4 out of 6 of them were gone.
Yeah.
But I got to have half of the one that I wanted, which was the carrot cake one. Salted caramel, cream cheese, something.
So I kind of wanted to try that one, but
I definitely ate it. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. Because that was our wedding cake.
It was our wedding cake.
So when you were pointing through them, I'm like, oh, is that carrot cake?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yep. And I'm like, oh, maybe we'll split that later. Like, no, kids got to.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And I was actually very, very impressed because I like to make time to bake. I like to try new things that are a little fancier than what I used to do. And there's nothing wrong with using a box cake mix and then using like the tubs of frosting, because you can definitely get the job done and enjoy it. I'm not judging that, but I love the futziness, maybe is the way to say it. Making cupcakes, making kind of fancy holiday things. So last year, I think I've talked about this on here briefly, but I decided I was going to learn how and be really good at making macarons.
Right.
Oh, they were good though.
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing this up is because this little booth had tons of macarons. They had cake pops. They had what they labeled as the best cookies. They had these beautiful cupcakes that had the professional kind of like big frosting thing on the top. I guess I was just really impressed at what they brought to the fair, and we definitely enjoy them.
I like that with like confections, you lean into precision.
Me?
Yeah.
It's kind of part of the point.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. And you really do like cupcakes, the macarons. This is the time of year where I get to see that part of you shine, the attention to detail. But it comes from such a caring place of I'm making this so that others can enjoy it. But then I get to see the joy in you of creating it. And it's really interesting. And that's kind of where I come from when I'm trying to be so precise. It's because I care so much. But I think it's lost in the intensity that I feel when it's not quite right. And I'm shifting that, right? I've been trying to shift that for months and years, and it's actually starting to come. But it is because, like we've said before, or we've pointed out, people don't always see your competitive side or your attention to detail because you make it look effortless a lot of the time.
Aw, thanks.
So it's interesting to see those different facets of your personality shine through. So it's something I haven't realized until now that I'm like, oh, this is coming up. This is going to be interesting to see what Laura wants to do.
Yeah, I know. I have been thinking about it. I always do my standards, right? So your mom shared her sugar cookie recipe.
Mm-hmm.
That has become a staple of something we do and Frost as a family.
That's fun. That was fun last year too.
Yeah, that was fun. What I will say though, last year I had more time and capacity. So I was in between organizations. Remember?
Yeah. I mean, it's the second week of December already.
I know.
Almost.
I know.
Right? Like,
I know.
Or it is.
So I have to get focused and clear about what is it that I'm going to make. One thing that we talked about related to the market, and I thought this was interesting on our drive back from Green Bay, that I was really excited about it, and I saw it as this creative wonderland. Look at everyone demonstrating their craft and showing what it is that's coming from their head and their creativity, and really leaning into the creative work that they are jazzed about.
Yeah.
When I talked about that, I thought it was really interesting, your perspective on it, because I didn't anticipate it. And the reason I didn't anticipate it is because you are a maker. You craft.
I want to be a maker.
Oh, come on. You build guitars.
I have built guitars.
I'm looking at 2 guitars right now that you have built.
Yes.
Yes.
I have built them.
You have.
Not actively building.
You knocked out a Maui hook for a nephew. I don't know if we've talked about that on here.
I don't know if we have.
He wanted, so okay.
That was a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, it was around the beginning of the pandemic, right?
Probably going into the first Christmas, maybe, right? Yeah.
So my sister's child too loved Moana, loved Maui, and wanted a Maui hook.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking for them online, and it was going to take forever to get here. They were super expensive. They didn't look that great, actually. So my question to you was, can you make something like this?
And I said, yeah.
So what
I'll
did you
figure
do?
it out. So I went online and I searched how to make a Maui hook. And I was so delighted that somebody I've been following for many years created a template free to download and a video showing how they made it for one of their kids.
Was that?
This is the Wood Whisperer.
Oh, the Wood Whisperer.
Mark Spagnolo, who is, he's been doing woodworking on YouTube, online, the Wood Whisperer Guild, all this really cool stuff that he does for years before I realized I could go on the internet and find this kind of stuff. So he had a downloadable thing, and I'm like, oh, great, this will save me time. I just printed out like 5 or 6 sheets, taped it together, cut it out, and got a 2x4, chopped it up, and glued it together and sculpted out a hook. It was fun. Looking back now, there were constraints. I had to get it done. There was a deadline. And it was for, somebody I love, somebody I care about, and thinking of how much he's going to enjoy it and that we're going to get this to him. Like it is almost like the delivery by Christmas, kind of like a Hallmark movie title or something, So I was in the garage with shop lights plugged in at night, like just chiseling away, grinding away, sawdust spewing in the middle. It's cold because it had to be December. I was probably doing it in December, beginning of December. It's just getting it done. So it was fun. And I kind of forget about that. That was a fun little thing to do. You helped make like the wrap for like the handle.
Oh, I braided the twine.
We braided twine. So that was fun. Like we kind of collaborated on that and stuff.
We did. Yeah, my friendship bracelet days of being a camp counselor came through.
I think it turned out really well.
I think so too.
I'm sure I took some pictures of it. I'll try to find some.
You were kind of like Klaus.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good movie.
Is that on Netflix? I think it's a Netflix original or something. Yeah, Klaus.
I like Klaus.
So why did you bring that up? You brought up that I made a hook. Oh, because I'm maker stuff.
Yeah, because you weren't talking about yourself as a maker. And the thing is, I think
it's more of like, well,
you can make.
I can make, but yeah, and whatever.
So can I ask, okay, so I have so many projects that I think I could engage in right now. Like say I had tomorrow completely off. In my head, I'm like, I could make Christmas cookies.
Yep.
I could make macarons.
Yep.
I could, I have, okay, this might seem a little nerdy, but it is me. I could work with some of my felt kits. So I've sewn all of our stockings. So it's I think it's called Bucilla is this brand, and they put together these stocking making kits.
I'll be asking you how to spell that later
Bucilla?
For the captions.
Oh, it's...
No, you just tell me later.
Tell you later. Okay. Growing up, our stockings of my family, my mom sewed them, and they were ones that were felt and layered with some stuffing in to kind of make the little characters pop out with lots of sequins and beads, and were really, really cool looking.
I remember you in the passenger seat for several seasons making those for our kids while we're driving back and forth from things. You're like, I'm going to bring this with. And I'm like, cool, I'll drive. And you're in the passenger seat making child one or child two's stocking. Yeah.
So we have all of them. I think I did yours as a toy maker shop, and you're built like the Santa's building a guitar.
I think you made that.
Oh, I made the guitar.
Because that wasn't part of it.
No,
you're
totally.
so creative.
I am. I love being creative. I have additional, not stocking kits, but I have additional kits. So I have one where there's like a little gnome garland where I can do gnomes, and maybe I could put it with my acorn garland.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So you have lots of projects you could be doing.
So I have a lot of
off.
projects that I could be doing if I had the day off.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the day off, are you drawn towards, I want to do this project, or are you drawn towards other things? Because you're a creative soul.
Yeah. So, I'm drawn towards working on a project, and it depends on if I have a day off and I don't feel like I have other obligations. That's the tricky part for me, which I think is resistance presenting itself and preventing me from doing something, because I tend to stall, right?
Well, it's not even about stalling, but is there something that lights you up that you're just trying to find the time and space to do?
If I had a day off where I didn't feel like I had other commitments, I would go into my workshop. Right now, I'm feeling like I would go in my workshop and I would start plotting through how to make another guitar. If we're talking about physically making something, the thing that is feeding that itch lately is editing the podcast, working on the podcast, shipping the podcast. And so there's this part of me that's yearning to create something that's with my hands, right? We've talked about this before, that there's something I can hold at the end of it. Whereas the podcast is something that I'm creating is something to witness, but I can't hold it in my hands. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? If I had I've really been thinking a lot more of like, how do I create the space with the addition? Because I don't want to stop doing what we're doing here. In addition to how do I make the time to come down and do the next small step towards building an instrument instead of feeling the weight of, because I know all the steps because I've done it. How do I not let that bog me down and slow me down? That's, or how do I not do laundry all day? Planning. I need to be better at planning and scheduling. And that's a way for me to take responsibility and accountability. It's not going to happen unless I make it happen.
So I'm going to say something.
Don't be mean.
I'm not going to be mean.
I'm kidding. I don't know what you're going to say. What?
I want to see how this sits with you. Is there a world, I know, but is there a world where you could do laundry and work on a guitar, knowing that the laundry may need to sit longer than you're comfortable in the washer before it gets to the dryer?
That is the easy part. The hard part is there's literally laundry sitting in the dryer right now, and it's in the back of my head.
How's that going for you?
It's okay because it's mostly your stuff. Actually, that's harder. Like thinking of you having wrinkled clothes, or if I mess up and then you have to deal with it while you're trying to get to work, that's not great.
No, you're so good to me.
What? Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Today was simply a laundry day because I knew that's why stuff's sitting up there right now is because I started to kind of come down here because I was like, I'm not doing enough. I need to come downstairs and do something. And then I get pulled into stuff down here and I forget about what I was doing up there. I'm multitasking kind of thing, which I'm not great at.
Oh.
Most people aren't.
No, and you've heard that. I can't even remember who said it, but multitasking is really not a thing.
Exactly.
You just simply task switch faster.
Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily lead to the results.
And that's what I mean by planning, is because I've realized that, okay, how much time do I have, and am I using it efficiently, which is what we talked about before. But also, I don't need to get so heady and think about this stuff. It's like, or simply go and do the next step on that project that you say you want to do. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling. In a world where I have a day off, I would like to play music or work on a guitar or our podcast. Anything that supports that work. Could be a video, like a short video, or some type of graphic or something, around the podcast. But it's definitely different for me than you, right? Of like a day off for me, I go about it differently than you. Seize the day. Like if you looked up "seize the day" in the dictionary, there should be a picture of Laura next to it. I'm really not exaggerating. It's pretty inspiring.
Well, thank you, I think. The thing that I'm thinking is if I have a day where I don't have a plan or an agenda, I'm really comfortable say, okay, for 1 hour, 2 hours, I'm going to focus here, and then I'm going to shift there, and then I'm going to throw, if I need to throw laundry in, or I need to go quickly mow the lawn, I'll mow the lawn, then I'll shower, then I'll do this. So I feel like I have okay, so this is what I kind of feel like is a metaphor for me. I'm not just going through a piano piece where you have two things going at one time.
The bass and treble clef, you mean?
Correct.
Okay.
I feel more like a symphony score where I have multiple parts going at one time.
Yeah, you are.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have things going all at one time and they're just coming in a coordinated way.
Are they though?
I think they are.
But how often do I come along and be like, I switched that laundry for you, or I grabbed the spatula and I'm doing the taco meat?
Do you know what's funny though? I don't think that the intervention was necessary. Oh, you are holding your tongue right now?
Yep.
You have so much you want to say right now, but you're not going to.
I would not be articulate enough, I believe.
To show up well in your counter argument?
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to counter anything. We definitely experience multiple things going on at once differently. Our timing is just a little different, right? When it comes to, like, say when to brake, like coming up to a stop sign or something, right? Our timing is just a little different. I'm a really bad backseat driver. That's why I always drive.
I was going to say, do we have different tolerance for when we should start braking. I don't notice when you're in the car with me.
It's because I'm always driving. Try to make it that way.
Or if I'm driving, I just don't notice it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Oh, I bet you do. You're the most patient person I've ever met, and I really appreciate that.
I try. Not always,
Anyway.
but I try.
Okay, we're rambling a whole bunch.
Okay. The thing that we talked about on the way home, and do I dare read my note here?
Go for it.
Okay. So I was taking notes as we were driving and talking about creative work and about the winter market.
Yeah, that's where this started.
Yeah, the winter market.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to edit so much of what we just talked about.
Why? I think it's great.
Ugh.
Don't edit so much out. The thing that I wrote down and I thought was interesting is that left to your own device, you would not have gone to the winter market.
Probably not.
And when we were at the winter market, you and the kiddos were around, and child 1 and child 2 shopped with me some. At the same time, it felt like I had made you guys go to the market, even though you and I had said, yeah, let's try that.
Yeah.
And
that wasn't my intention to act that way or make you feel like I was that way, but that's how you felt.
Right. And I didn't think anyone intended to make me feel that way. But when I was going like little house to little house, and the three of you were huddled under like a propane heater, one, I knew you needed to get heat because both of them refused to wear their jackets.
They were also small little booths, by the way.
They were.
I was simply like, I'm just going to hang back because I can see whatever I want to see from here.
But I thought what was interesting was this concept. And what I wrote down is that it makes Laura sad, but I don't know exactly why.
What makes you sad?
So the concept was you had been reading or listening to something where society has really shifted when you have a partnership with somebody, that person now is not just your partner, but they're your partner, they're your confidant, they're your friend, they're your coach, they're your everything.
Right.
And that in the past in society, or even past generations perhaps, that individual, your partner, like you for me and me for you, wasn't necessarily designed or served as all those things.
Yeah, there's more of a community, right?
Right.
Yeah, I brought that up.
You did?
Yes.
And when you brought it up, I'm like, aw.
Yeah.
Like it made me a little, and not sad, like boo-hoo, but just, I don't know.
But I brought it up because I was sensing that you were trying to express, like, why weren't you all so jazzed to be doing what I picked to do? And that made me think of, so what I'm feeling here is I'm feeling pressure to be everything, everywhere for you, the way you want me to be. And not that I don't want to be that, but it brought up the idea of that article or whatever that brought that up, which is an interesting thing of, oh, how much that is to hold to be everything to somebody. And it was because of our conversation we were having, and it wasn't, and like many times in our conversation while we're driving home, I'm like, I am saying things not because I completely agree with it, but it's what it's making me think about, just to be clear. But it is a lot, I think, to expect somebody to be all of the things, right? You can understand how that might feel like a lot.
Yeah. No, I can understand how it would be a lot. And at the same time, I don't know exactly what it is, if it's like hopeless romance or what. You
were also feeling, and I think you still feel, that I was telling you I had a horrible time at the market. And I think I repeatedly said, like, I didn't have a bad time. It's just not exactly, what I said was, I feel like you would have had a better time with a group of girlfriends or a group of friends. Like I simply wasn't in the same headspace to enjoy the market the way you were at the time that we were there.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
I do suppose that's true. Thinking about when my sister was here for Thanksgiving, she and my mom went shopping down at a couple local stores.
Yeah.
And we had a good time. I think we could have spent the entire day out shopping and doing different things. I definitely didn't feel like you and the kiddos could have spent all day shopping little booths at a winter market.
No, and I don't. I think what I was trying to communicate is, I'm like, is that reasonable for you to expect of me?
Well,
you. That's something hard for you to hear right there with
No.
that expression.
So
We should be recording these so people can see our grimaces or our like, oh.
no, well, I don't think I'm not reacting that way because I feel like you should be like, oh my gosh, Laura, I'm so excited. We're going to go to the winter market. I'm going to hold your purse. We're going to drink hot chocolate. And then
I hold your purse all the time. I don't care about holding your purse.
No. But you're like, then we're going to drink hot chocolate. And then we're going to buy matching Christmas ornaments and take selfies with the carolers.
You're making it sound like that's not what you wanted, but I think that's what you wanted.
No, I didn't necessarily want that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to do it, you do you. I'd be down.
Uh-huh.
But I do think there is something in between that and kind of what I felt. I felt a little rushed. I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of interest in what I was doing. And I thought, okay, I won't take a lot of time. I'll just hit the things that stand out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I won't cruise them all. You know, I don't want to put you out because this was the thing that I wanted to do, even though I thought we had made the decision to do it together.
So what's so interesting about that is, so this is the first time you've said that out loud, even though we had a conversation on the drive home.
Said what?
That you felt rushed, that you
I
felt like I
did.
didn't want to be there.
Well, I thought you didn't want to be there, and with both of the kiddos not wearing coats, even though it's winter, they're like tweens and teenager now, right?
Yeah. Which, by the way, no wonder they have ear infections right now.
Oh, geez.
Now, yeah. Okay, now it makes sense. I'm like, weren't they wearing coats and hats? Well, at night they were, but maybe not then. Yeah.
No, they weren't then. No.
Of course.
They were wearing hats. Yeah.
So what I was trying to say there real quick ones. So you just said some things that you hadn't articulated before. And the whole car ride when we're talking about this part, I was trying to say, anything I'm saying, I'm not trying to communicate that I was having a bad time. And then I also brought up that while I was waiting for you in one of the little shops, I mean, it was like a little sheds, right? There was a really cool display outside of one of them that had Christmas ornaments that were on 1/4-inch thick tree branch. They're about 4 to 6 inches around diameter, but they were 1/4-inch thick and they were painted. And what really stood out to me was it was Alice in Wonderland images. And so there was like the Cheshire Cat and the caterpillar and some other things. And there was a teacup that had a little chickadee on it with a top hat. And it was just really kind of whimsical kind of thing. Like it looked like something that you would want to puzzle of a bunch of these images and that you would enjoy. So at the same time that I was saying some things that were making you feel like I was having enjoying myself, then I was like, but like I told you all about like me seeing like these whimsical ornaments where I'm like, my whole point isn't like I wouldn't want to be there. It's that I think you maybe would have had more fun or wouldn't have felt as rushed. Now I realize you were feeling rushed or like I was having a bad time because you were like me patiently waiting for you to do what you wanted to do. You interpret me doing that as he doesn't want to be here, which I totally get because I wasn't actively participating in the experience the way you were is kind of what I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe I felt a little, I don't want to say alone because I wasn't alone, but I felt a little.
I was definitely in a different headspace though.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't in a shopping mood. Like
no, you were not.
I mean, there was even like a beard balm stall and a hot sauce one. And I'm like, I'm like, I don't want to ruin the rest of my day trying hot sauce from a vendor at an outdoor market. I'm like, things could go wrong for me. I'm of the age where if I eat the wrong thing, things can go wrong. Like I was being kind of practical, I guess, which maybe deflated some of the whimsy that you were maybe looking for.
Yeah.
Did I say whimsy a lot?
I don't know.
Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I guess earlier I said like I was kind of looking at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So anyway, where does that leave us? Like where does that leave you?
know if I know exactly where it leaves me, but I think maybe the one thing that I'm curious about is how do we, because traveling, we travel differently.
Is this where we're going? We're going here.
Well, we don't have to go here entirely.
Let's do it. Not entirely. We're going to hold something behind the curtain, but let's do it.
We travel differently.
We experience travel differently.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that adventure. I think we've talked about that.
Yeah. I wrote a note down earlier that I just peeked at that speaks to this, which is how do we explore? Part of the travel is the exploration that you crave, I think. And the way you and I explore, I think, is a little different.
Okay. So do you want to talk a little bit about how do you explore?
Well, what it makes me think of is, and what I think I proposed this when we were driving home was, you looked up a website for like the city commerce or whatever, and like, oh, what's going on in Green Bay? And I'm like, I don't think of that. I'm more of like, what is there for me to do in Green Bay? Like, what am I going to do? I'm more of, oh, there's a concert? Let's go to that. Let's schedule a trip around going to a concert. Or like we've done before when you've traveled for work, and I'm like, oh, like that's a cheap way for me to tag along and we can do something. And we're like, let's go to a hockey game, or we're out somewhere. Let's go to a baseball game because, the kids like going to baseball games and stuff like that. Also, part of me is like, I really enjoyed doing nothing on our trip most of Sunday until you went to the football game.
Yeah.
Just being and sitting next to you. We had something on kind of in the background that we weren't really paying attention to too much, but we kind of were sometimes having the openness, the space to not have to do anything sometimes, because I get that decision fatigue, right?
Right.
So anyway, but like I like going to museums when we're in different cities, or I enjoyed going to the walking the gardens and doing the light thing, and even the market. Like, even though you think I didn't enjoy it, like it was fine. It was a good time. Like, I feel bad that you felt bad for doing it.
No, I don't know if I felt bad.
It's kind of like going shoe shopping for me. It was where my head was for that day. I'm not. It's like going shoe shopping with somebody when you don't need any shoes, is what I'm trying to say.
You're so practical.
No, I'm
just not saying that as a complete slight.
I'm just saying, like, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
And you find the shoes you need to find because you need shoes. I don't. So I'm not going to buy any. And so if I'm not going to buy any, why would I have somebody go find me a pair to try on? And why would I take off my shoes? Why would I, anyway.
You're just going to sit on the bench in the mall and watch
chill.
Compass.
Yeah. I haven't been to a mall in a really long time.
It's true.
Which is probably something that would be fun to do, to go people watch.
Wait, what?
Shopping drives me insane unless I have something I want to buy.
That is true.
Something I haven't experienced in a while. Might be interesting. Anyway, you were talking about we travel different, or we experience travel different is what I was saying.
Yeah. And I will say, from a travel standpoint, for me, I really do. It's that exploring, finding something new, finding something unique, doing something I haven't done before. That's kind of fun.
Like we one time, we might have talked about this when we were in Texas.
Yeah.
And it was perfect because it fit around, I think, did you have a conference?
At a conference, yep.
But we could also schedule it where there was a IndyCar race.
Right.
And then also we had enough time where we're like, well, what should we do while we're here? And we found the cidercade, right?
That's right, the cidercade. That was fun.
Where they had hard cider. And with that, you paid, what was it, like a little entry fee even? Or was it all just free?
Much.
I think the games might have just been free.
Could have been.
But there was just like aisles of pinball machines and arcade
is hundreds
games.
Too much to say? I mean, it was hundreds of games.
The hundreds of games, maybe half of which were probably pinball machines.
Yeah. This is in Dallas.
So this,
right?
I'm bringing this, suburbs of Dallas or whatever. I'm bringing that up as that was an example of where we simply found something that sounded fun for both of us. And we went and did it, right?
And maybe what I keep trying to do is recreate that whimsy in you, because I really enjoy and love What?
That feels heavy.
No.
I'm trying to do this to you.
No, I just really enjoy and love hanging out with you when you don't have a care in the world and you're along for the ride and you're enjoying the ride. It's just like magical for me.
Okay, so...
And so I might be trying to just constantly recreate that. And maybe I feel like if you and I have agreed, like, yeah, let's go to the market together, then I'm going to get that same whimsy and play from you.
So, what I just maybe realized, this is something for me to think about and work on, possibly. So, Texas, we were alone, you and I as a couple.
Yeah.
The winter market, we had the childs with.
The child.
And so, and I think we both kind of know this, but I internalize their comfort and how they're doing. I take it on, possibly. I'm wondering if that had something to do with it, if I was sensing, are they bored or are they okay? Or, and I'm not trying to put that on them either. Like, I'm talking about, this is a me thing.
Well, that's kind of interesting because I'm thinking about our anniversary weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, you had a sense of play that whole weekend. Like Stone Temple Pilots. Yeah, what the hell? Let's go. Fast Taco. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go to Door County. Let's find a Thor's hammer.
You see what I'm saying?
So I guess the question is, how do you have that sense of play with them too?
Because I have a sense of duty to them, right? Is what I'm thinking, or something. Like there's something. I literally, this is like an epiphany to me.
Safety, food, water, right?
Yeah, but then I think I go past that, and because I read into things. Because I want everybody to be okay, because then I can be okay, kind of thing. Or I don't have to, or maybe but they're my kids, right? So obviously, like, I want to make sure they're okay. That's it. So anyway, there's something there, I think, that I need to work on.
I don't know if you need to work on it. Like, it shouldn't be a burden.
Well, that's the thing is if I'm showing up in a way that's affecting you in a negative, it feels like a negative way. It feels like I ruined your time at the market.
You didn't ruin my time. I mean, I will say,
everybody in the comments, tell us if you think I ruined Laura's time at the market.
No, I don't think you ruined my time at the market. I'm a pretty independent, stubborn soul that is like, we decided we're doing this market.
We decided.
We did.
Okay.
I said, what things sound fun?
What things that I'm listing off that I want to do sound like you'll bear with me? I'm kidding.
Hey, you all shot down Polar Express from the train museum.
That did not sound fun. That sounded like
I thought it sounded whimsical.
No. That the idea at the headline of that sounded fun. Like, oh, we can ride a train. And that sounds fun. But when you started reading the details, it's like, oh, this sounds like we are going to be told where to be, when to be, and how to be for 3.5 to 4 hours. And I'm like, that sounds like not like fun, especially with a teenager and a tween and me.
Yes, that's fair. I guess what I'm just trying to say is I'm a pretty independent, stubborn person. I'm like, you know what? We listed some things off. We picked 2 things. You said, let's do it. And I'm going to enjoy myself and have fun and try and engage them. And if they won't engage with me, which you all did. Mm-hmm. I'm painting this picture like you all like sat in the corner with your arms crossed under like a propane heater. Like, why are we here? You didn't do that.
No, there just simply wasn't anything there that I wanted to buy.
Yeah. And so I think the thing that's interesting, though, is just that conversation that goes back to that expectation that you are my friend, my confidant, my coach, my partner. Mm-hmm. And like I said, like I see you as all those things. And so to think of uncoupling all of that and like parsing it out makes me kind of sad.
Yeah. And I'm not, like, you realize I wasn't bringing up anything to detach from any of that.
No.
But the idea of you're sad thinking of separating that, and so am I a little bit, but also entertaining the idea of what does that look like, that's telling and interesting.
Well, and So I do think, though, because don't get me wrong, I don't think you are my only friend.
Right.
Right? I don't think you are my only confidant. I have an executive coach. I have you. I have others that mentor me and guide me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know you're not 100% the only person in each of those buckets, but to not have you, and I feel like you playing a role in each of those spaces in some way makes our relationship stronger.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. I feel the need to be needed also and to be in those spaces. Like just to be clear, like I feel like when I say anything that's an idea, the idea of like how can one person be everything to somebody? Like I'm not bringing that up because I don't want to be your everything. It's that if somebody's talking about it, there's probably a reason, and maybe it leads me to some examination of why do I feel like I want to be everything to you? And maybe that's why there was a disconnect, or you feeling like, well, why doesn't he want to be at the market? And it's not that I didn't want to be, it's just that I wasn't showing up the way you were expecting me to. And then it makes me think, well, maybe somebody else could have showed up the way you wanted, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
I don't know if I get it, to be honest. But it's interesting to think about. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just think about if it was like the 1950s, right?
Okay. What?
It would be different. Like you would be my partner. I would have only probably girlfriends, right? Like you wouldn't be my friend, you'd be my partner.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
I mean, hopefully we'd be friends.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't be my coach because I wouldn't need anybody to help me.
You would totally take care of the roast and get me my drink when I walked in the door, right?
I'm really good at following those social norms.
Ugh.
Nope. Actually, I'm a pretty dang good cook.
You're a really good cook.
I would actually probably.
That wasn't my point.
No, but
my point was that our roles are pretty much the exact opposite of a 1950s couple.
Yes, right. So anyway, I just feel like that's not something that would work for us, and I know that's not what people are saying when they're thinking about these things, right? So I guess I've moved from being sad. I wrote down.
It's only been a week. How thank
makes
goodness.
Laura sad.
Yeah, that's.
I read that to you today, and you're like, oh.
I'm like, oof. I'm glad you didn't tell me that earlier, or I'd be like just in a bad mood all week.
But not like sad, boohoo, like sad, like disappointed. Like, is that better?
I don't know. What do you mean?
No, I think I was more just sad as in like, what do you mean you can't be my everything?
Again, let me rephrase. I wasn't saying that.
No,
I brought
know.
up an anecdote of something I heard that while we were talking and having a discussion, I'm like, this is making me think of this thing I heard where there is this expectation on coupled people to be everything to each other, and that's not how it used to be.
Yeah, I get you.
Do you though? Oh no.
No, I do.
Okay.
I get you. Yeah, I understand. Okay, so now we're at the time of the podcast that we talk about something that we are reading or listening to that we're really jazzed about. What have you been doing?
I have been going down a rabbit hole on YouTube of a channel that I just found, The Charismatic Voice. It's a gal, I think her name's Elizabeth, and she is reacting and analyzing music, vocals in particular. She is an opera singer, and she definitely knows the voice, and you can tell she really knows her craft, and she knows all of these things that professional singers know. And seeing her react to music that I grew up with, and she is just in the last couple years or now seen like Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, Metallica, Rage Against the Machine, AC/DC, Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm going to show you that video later. Seeing the joy on her face and how much she enjoys or is intrigued by this music that has intrigued me over the years. there's just something it just pulls me in, and I'm just so taken with it. I'm leaning into music, and it's something I've been intentionally lean into, which is getting myself back into a practice of enjoying and making music. I've been enjoying it. So I'll link to that, obviously, in the show notes. How about you, Laura? What have you been engaging with?
Mine's going to be a little bit of a throwback. My adoration has increased for Dolly Parton. And there is just something about Dolly that she is authentic. She does her. She doesn't get deep into politics. She is just there to show up, make the world a better place, and lean into who she is unapologetically. So I absolutely have been fascinated and love Dolly Parton. I even have on my Christmas list a mug that says caffeine, 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 caffeine. Like Jolene, right?
Yep.
So excited about that. I'm hoping somebody picks that one up and is like, yes.
That's awesome.
But what I'm going to say based on that, it all stemmed back to a podcast that was recommended to me by a colleague, Dolly Parton's America. This podcast is several years old at this point, but it is a fascinating podcast that really goes through the journey of Dolly growing up to how she became famous, to how she holds herself and leans into who she is, and she does her. And so I would recommend that podcast. It's been a couple years probably since I listened to it. But again, after that Thanksgiving Dolly Parton performance, after everything I know about her and just how authentic and genuine she is about who she is, I have been leaning into Dolly Parton to the point where, like I said, I've got that coffee mug on my Christmas wish list. I'm excited to see if it shows up under the tree, and I would recommend the podcast.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right, let's wrap it up then.
Sounds good.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. I think we figured it out. Or maybe we didn't. But nonetheless, we had a good conversation like we always tend to do.